Hi children, welcome to the next class. Today we will start with what is colonial and how do we know. Page number 4. You know what is colonial means? Colonial means what? Administration by colonial power. So when Britishers came to India, they started for a trading purposes and then slowly they conquered by subjugating the Nawabs and Rajas. So children, take page number 4. When British came to conquer the country, they slowly established their rule by subjugating local Nawabs and Rajas. Underline that point. They established control over the economy and society, collected revenue to meet all their expenses, brought the goods they wanted at low price, produced crops they needed for export. All this they have done. So when they came to India, they imposed the colonial rule on us. So they mainly concentrated on those items to produce so that they can export to their country. And what else they done? They collected all the revenues to meet their expenses. Underline, they slowly conquer our economy and society, and the rule was imposed on our country. Same paragraph, last sentence. When the subjugation means under control. When the subjugation of one country by another leads to these kinds of political, economic, social and cultural changes, we refer to the process as colonization. So colonization means what? They are imposing their rule that leads to changes in the political, economic, social and cultural. So all these aspects which are economically, socially, culturally, politically, everything get changed into their ways. So colonization was imposed by Britishers in India. It was continued till 1947. Now, how do we know about all this? What are the different ways or sources from which we came to know about this? First one is administration produces records. So when Britishers came to India, they believed in the act of writing. Page number 5, take page number 5 all of you. Administration produces records. Under that, the British believed that act of writing was important. That means keep the records of every function. Whatever they are doing in each department, they keep all the records. Every instruction, plan, policy, decision, agreement, investigation had to be clearly written up. So whatever they are doing with their plans and policies, their investigation, everything was written up in records. So what is the use of that? Later on we all can understand the ways in which they have done their administration. First point, underline, every instruction, plan, policies, decision, agreement, investigation had to be clearly written up by the Britishers. Second point, the British felt that all important documents, so first one was they written up everything, their plans were recorded. Their plans were recorded. Then second one, they have a record rooms to keep all these plans. So all these reports and documents were kept in the record rooms. Second point, second paragraph, the British felt that all important documents and letters need to be carefully preserved. Underline. So they set up record rooms attached to all administrative institutions. So every department they have a record rooms to keep their records. The village Tahsildar's office, the collectorate, the commissioner's office, the provincial secretariat, the law courts, all had their record rooms. So recorded, all the plans were recorded, then there were record rooms to keep the plans. There were record rooms to keep the plans and policies of or the important documents of whatever they done. So important letters and documents were kept in the recorded rooms. Earlier they write up whatever they are going to do, they have written everything, all their plans and policies were written and recorded. Now record rooms are there for keeping these important documents. Now third point, there were specialized institutions like, same paragraph last sentence, there were specialized institutions like archives and museums, to preserve important documents. So, write there archives and museums were established to preserve the important records. So, the three ways in which administration records were kept. Administration produces records, you can mark. First, they written up all the policies and plans. Second, there were rooms attached to each department to keep the important documents and letters. There were also archives and museums to keep the important documents, important records. Now, they used to re-record this if anything is getting destroyed or damaged. In the fourth paragraph, you can see documents were carefully copied out and beautifully written by calligraphists. Calligraphists are people who are specialized in the art of beautiful writing. Underline that sentence. Who were calligraphists? They are people who specialized in the art of beautiful writing. Underline that also. So, this is one source of which we can understand about the earliest, how Britishers were ruling. The administration produces records. Now, second one is surveys. Survey means what? They conduct surveys in order to understand the entire country's situation. So, each area they conducted surveys. Take page number 6. Surveys become important. The British believed that a country had to be properly known before it could be effectively administered. So, what they done? They have a systematically planning their things. What they understood that a country should be properly known before it could be effectively administered. So, they need surveys are needed. They understood. So, how they done the surveys? Second paragraph. The effort was to know the topography, the soil quality, the flora, the fauna, the local histories and cropping patterns. So, they want to know about the details of each area. So, for that they want to understand the topography, the landform, the soil's quality, what types of crops can be cultivated, the flora and fauna, plants and animals in that area, the local histories. So, everything they want to understand first, then only they can start their cultivation. So, all this were done by the Britishers. So, surveys being carried out to map the entire country. Underline, surveys were being carried out to map the entire country. The effort, what was the main reason behind it? To know about the topography, the soil quality, flora, fauna and the local histories and cropping pattern. Close the bracket there. Now, there were census operations were held. You know what a census operation means? What? To find out the number of people living in area, census are held every 10 years. So, census was also done. Surveys then also done what? Census to understand the number of people living in an area. That was also done in the India, in different provinces of India. All the provinces of India they done this. Then they also noted the information on caste, religion and occupation. So, in the census, number of people, caste, occupation, everything was noted. It is done every 10 years. Done in every 10 years. Now also we are doing the census is done every 10 years. Yes. Surveys means what? To map the entire country. Surveys are carried out to map the entire country. What are the different ways things are produced? To map the entire country. So, surveys are carried out to map the entire country. Census is done to find out the number of people living in the area in all provinces, their caste, their occupation, for all these reasons. Now, one more line you have underlined here. There were many other surveys like botanical surveys, zoological surveys, archaeological surveys, anthropological surveys and forest surveys. So, they conducted surveys on all these different areas and find out about the entire country. Clear? Now, what official records do not tell us? So, these all things we get from the British historians, whatever they written, they mainly said that there were administration produces records, there were record rooms to keep the letters, important letters, documents, memos issued, there were departments along with the record rooms were there were archives and museums to keep the important documents. Then they conducted surveys to map the entire country. They have conducted surveys on all the different aspects. Then census was held every 10 years, that is number of people, caste, their occupation, all these things were collected by the Britishers. Now, what official records do not tell? Next topic is what official records do not tell. See here, page number 7, the records do not always help us understand what other people in the country felt and what lay behind their actions. So, we are only speaking about the rulers, the Britishers and their actions. We never speak about the ordinary people living in the country. So, what is their opinion? We don't know. How they felt? We don't know. So, that records are not seen anywhere. For that, we need to look elsewhere. When we begin to search for these other sources, we find them in plenty, though they are more difficult to get than official records. So, it is not like official records, because historians never keep the records of those things. We have diaries of people, accounts of pilgrims and travelers, autobiographies of important personalities and popular booklets that were sold in the local bazaars. From these things we can get what? The people's, ordinary people's feeling during that time. As printing spread, newspapers were published and issues were debated in public. Leaders and reformers wrote to spread their ideas. Poets and novelists wrote to express their feeling. So, page number 7, you can write what official records do not tell. What they do not tell about the ordinary people's lives. So, here this can be collected from where? From the diaries of people, page number 7, mark, from the diaries of people, accounts of pilgrims and travelers, underline, autobiographies of important personalities. Now, as printing spread, you get more information from newspapers. Newspapers were published that time, so collection of newspapers were there, where poets and novelists wrote about their feelings. Close the bracket there. All these sources, however, were produced by those who were literate. So, only educated people can produce these records. Only those people can write. From this, we will not be able to understand how history was experienced and lived by the tribals and peasants. So, tribals and peasants, they don't keep any records anywhere. They simply work. So, we don't have any idea of what was their life like. The workers in the mines or the poor in the streets. So, we don't know any idea about common people. Okay. So, only the literate people, they also wrote about the history. The British historians wrote about the history. Now, common people's feelings, nobody knows. Peasants, poor people, those who are working in mine, getting to know their lives is a more difficult task. So, we don't have any information. So, how their life, we can only imagine, we don't know what was their life like. So, this is all about the chapter. Children, please do underline the important points. Frame as many questions as you can. Hope you all understood the chapter very well. Thank you so much. We will see you in the next class.